Rituraj, you've been in this industry for a very long time. You nurtured a very big business. You, as part of a FICCI forum, even made a representation to the finance minister and to the labor minister seeking stops for this industry, because you think that the survival of this industry is critical for survival of the economy. Tell us, what are your opening remarks?
Well, firstly, Anurag, thank you to you and BW for taking interest in this sector. The private security, facility management, cash logistics sectors are often underrated, even as this is literally omnipresent. I mean, if you just, any viewer on this webinar will agree that we are present outside your residential colony, the school your kids go to, your office, the mall that you visit often, the bank, the ATM. If you just look around your daily life, you will see and interact with security staff, CCTV cameras, health and sanitization workers, facility management workers, all the time. So thanks for sharing the statistics. We are a 1 lakh crore revenue sector. Most people do not recognize that, and it's good that BW has taken an interest. I appreciate the effort. Also, I'd like to highlight that, you know, even in a global context, security is a $200 billion US market. So in the global environment also, it's a very large industrial segment. In India, so far, it hasn't sort of got its visibility. But that said, I think COVID, you know, just as opening thoughts, COVID crisis that we are all grappling with today has actually helped demonstrate, actually it's a testimony to the critical role these services play in our society and in our economy. Had it not been so, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Government of India would not have categorized private security, facility management and cash logistics services as essential services. So I think COVID has its impact on everybody. It will have impact on us as well. But just as an opening thought, this COVID situation will also give new visibility and new importance to the sector that we are and the critical role we perform in society.
Rituraj, I want to ask you a very specific question. You made 5 demands or requests or prayers, you know, whichever way you want to put. You call it a prayer in your FICCI document. You made requests to the government. Can you take us through those 5 requests that you made to the government? Because really every sector is struggling. Your sector has the fact that the government classified as essential services has a very important role to play. So take our readers and viewers through the 5 demands that you as an industry and as an industry leader made. And I want to tell you, while we are a magazine, the businessworld.in site did about 33 million traffic in March. That makes us among the top 5 business websites in the country, rather top 3 business sites in the country, and growing. So we continue to bring out our magazine, but our main business media platform and our 15 sites would possibly be 40 million traffic. So, you know, we are, you know, our digital transformation is also has it. Coming back to Rituraj, your asks from the finance ministry and from the labor ministry.
Anurag, I think the first thing to highlight before we get into the government engagement is that, you know, like my colleagues were saying, our assessment is that as we were declared as an essential service, and not just in India, I think just for your viewers to know, I mean, SIS operations in Australia, in New Zealand, in Singapore. I'm sure Rajiv Manjeet will also confirm that in most countries, services that we provide have been classified as essential services. Now, what that essentially means is that the impact on our sector in terms of revenue, margin, collections will probably be lesser than most others. And hopefully it will be more delayed. We will not directly be impacted because of what's happening in COVID lockdown, probably the aftermath of this scenario, which is a deep financial slowdown, maybe recession in the coming 6 to 12 months, that long tail will probably impact our sector. So we clearly see that in the short term, there's a demand upside, like most of my colleagues are articulating. But in a 6 month to 12-month period, we can clearly see that the working capital required in the business will go up. There will be revenue pressure. Revenue may decline as more industries suffer. There will be severe margin pressure. So COVID will impact everybody and everything. It's just that we probably be last to be impacted and hopefully the least to be impacted.
That's a very good note. And
Right.
just to give our viewers a perspective, if the revenue is 100 rupees, 90 rupees goes in people's salaries, 5 to 7% goes in taxes. So the margins are 2 to 3% at the scale at which you operate. In smaller firms, there may be more because they've operated a different kind of
I think
metrics.
it'd be fair to say that this is a 5 to 7% EBITDA margin business. That's what it is globally, not just in India. But coming to the point that we were making, what is it that we are pursuing the government for? Look, we took a very early start. I had the benefit of very good engagement with all my colleagues in the security sector, in the facility management sector, also in the cash logistics sector. We quickly got around to framing a view on what we need from the government. And we basically asked for 4 or 5 things. First up is a wage subsidy. If you look at the international practice, whether it's Australia or United Kingdom or Netherlands or various other parts of the world, they have extended, wage subsidies to large employment generating sectors, particularly sectors that support blue collar jobs. So I think on the same lines, we have put up a request for wage subsidy. We also sought Gst Relief. Gst is a very large payout for us monthly basis. As customer collections get delayed, we have requested the government to charge GST or make GST payable when collections are received and not when invoices are generated, because there'll be a big time lag between invoice and payment. We've sought a 50 lakh rupee health cover for all our people who are at work today. As you move around, like Manjeet was saying, whether it's a hospital or a quarantine facility, there will be private security guards standing outside managing queues. There will be housekeeping and sanitation workers working on the inside. Even today, lakhs of crores of rupees are being drawn from ATMs every day. So somebody is going to fill those ATMs. So this is the nature of work we do. These people have taken tremendous risk for very basic jobs. And these brave hearts need to be protected by health cover. So we're very actively engaging with Ministry of Labour and Ministry of Home Affairs for that. We've also sought relief on Provident Fund ESI, and we've sought priority sector lending status. Most of the smaller companies in our space, and even the larger ones or medium ones, they do not have the benefit of major collateral. Our industry is very asset light. It's not an industry where you build a lot of factories and plants and you have a lot of
It's
land.
people intensive.
It's people intensive. So the only asset base you have is your collectible, the current assets, from an accounting terminology.
Yeah.
So we are looking, we have requested the Honorable Finance Minister and the Reserve Bank of India Governor to consider us as a priority sector for lending in these times, because if the smaller or the medium or even large security companies and FM companies get impacted, that will directly result in job losses, delayed wage payments, delayed PF, ESI, GST payments. So we've sought for that.
So there will be a cascading effect.
So this is the 5 things we've asked for. I must acknowledge that industry has received very good response. I had the opportunity personally to speak to the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharamanji on the 11th of April. She personally came on the line. She spoke and understood about the industry. which is phenomenal, for a finance minister to take time to understand industry issues, ask for a representation. It was tremendous. We also, when the lockdown happened, we had the opportunity to talk to the Honorable Home Minister, Amit Shahji, directly, whereby we requested that our workers are having great trouble in moving around in lockdown period, so we must be declared as essential services, and therefore the MHA circular has a separate line item. The last line item says private security and our services. So government has been very understanding. Ministry of Labor recently helped us with a very important circular to clarify the matter regard to payments, etc. So Mr. Piyush Goyal, the Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister, did a video conference 4 days back with all industry leaders to understand our demands. So I think the government is extremely proactive, especially with large employment generating sectors like ours, trying to understand where our problems lie, how we can be helped. And I'm very hopeful that they will recognize our sector to be amongst the first few that receive some kind of support from the government establishment.
Rituraj, do you think both as leaders, professionals, and people down the value chain, is there a new skill set required? Is there a skill set that you need to add on as a professional, whether you're a manager, you're a shift in charge, you're the VP? Is there a new mindset plus a new set of skills that is required to thrive in the post-COVID era?
Well, I think, in terms of skill set or the way businesses operate or the way professionals we conduct ourselves, I think everything will have to take there's going to be organic pivoting. It's not something that you need to plan or structure. I mean, honestly speaking, I've never worn PP in my life. I'm wearing PP now every day to work. So life adapts and it goes on. So I think the change in behavior is going to be there. But 2-3 points I just wanted to make with regard to an earlier question. I think when you spoke about smaller enterprises in our sector, I think personally, my view is a little bit different. I believe the smaller enterprises are less at risk.
Okay, and why do you say so?
Scale operation is larger. Your risk is larger. I mean, if somebody is operating a business in Odisha or in one state, his risk is restricted to that state. Whereas, for larger businesses,
the scale of disruption is larger.
The scale of disruption is wider, and in a time when physical mobility has become a problem, managing a pan-India operation and the risk and the probability of something going wrong is higher if you have more customers, more sites, more states, more branch offices. So I think first thing, I believe that the smaller and medium enterprises, they must not see themselves as more affected. They're actually less affected. Less affected because they have a more manageable size problem. That's one. Second is that, I think I was speaking to a lot of different entrepreneurs who run different scales of business in the security and FM space. I mean, one thing is very clear. I think, I'm sure all entrepreneurs are doing it. But I think before we work to worry about margins or we work to worry about revenue saving, first thing to do is to conserve cash.
Sure.
In a crisis, cash is equal to survival. So the first thing to do is to try and increase, extract, and conserve cash. Go and try and increase your working capital or overdraft lines. All banks are offering 10 to 20% increase in overdraft facilities across the country. So first thing is to increase your access to working capital lines. Second is to extract. The lockdown period has established a very unique scenario where the customer cannot go to his own site, but his security staff is there to protect his site. The importance of security staff has got highlighted in this time.
Sure.
Use that, leverage that, extract your pending payments and pending collections.
Very practical tip.
Right? And the third thing is to conserve. Like Manjeet was saying, anything that is a non-essential needs to stop. Travel, rentals, partly even meetings, conferences, seminars, anything that is capex, it needs to stop. So
Sure.
it's basically increase, extract, and conserve. That's the way I think most businesses will need to fight this. More so if you're responsible for paying wages of thousands and tens of thousands of people. So cash is paramount.